right, ladies.
Hey, good afternoon from Be So Creative here in Las Cruces. I am kind of stepping in for Marcia today, but I would like to introduce a new employee that we have. This is Linda Renfro, and we're going to let her take over and show you some really cool stuff and some patterns that she's got and some new ruler, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, how's everybody this afternoon? We are enjoying the start of fall in Las Cruces, so this is pretty nice. I just moved here from Arizona about 3 months ago, and I worked in a quilt shop and have been quilting there for a number of years. Today I'm going to show you how to use the Log Cabin Grid Ruler by Creative Grids. And it's a log cabin trim tool, and it's fascinating because I never liked to do log cabins because I never could get them to work right. So Marcia showed me and convinced me that I should try this ruler, or trim, I call it a ruler, they call it a trim tool. It makes an 8.5 inch square, and it has 3 center pieces here that you use when you're cutting your log cabin. So let's get started. What we do is we start with a 2.5 inch square. The directions say to use at least 1 3/4 inch wide strips. Personally, I hate cutting strips. So what I did, I just took a piece of scrap that I had and sewed it together. I know that this is wider than 1 3/4, so it'll work. Then the first thing you do, because you want your sewing edge to be straight, is to trim it up on your sewing edge. I found for me it's just as easy to do both sides. From there, you take the straight edge of your next scrap, line it up, and sew your 1/4 inch seam. Then press towards your new addition. Here's your 2.5 inch square, and I have sewn various size strips all the way around. Using your trim tool, you take the first square, line it up, and then trim off the pieces. Okay, let's make sure we have this right. And lo and behold, you have the first round of your log cabin, which is extremely easy to do. Again, you start here, your straight edges, and you start sewing around. When you're completely around again, you have the second row. This tool, I don't know whether you can see it or not, has 3 squares. This was the first one we used. This time we're going to be using this one right here, and we take that and line it up.
And show them how your first stitching are all against that line, that 1 inch line.
I'm sorry?
Point out this part.
Oh, right. Okay, this is all lined out. So the square, the 2.5 inch square is here, and the row that first row that we did is here, and then it allows for a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And it's all lined up. It is awesome. This is the best tool. Again, we repeat, starting again with your squares, sewing around. And this is the last one to make the 8.5 inch block. And what I just, again, here we had the first square, the second, and now we're going to use this one to line it out to an 8.5 inch block. And then flip it. Lined up here. My seam allowance is already allowed.
Isn't that beautiful?
It just turns out so well, and when I was using it, putting the squares together was just so easy, and just they matched, not like when I did it without this tool and it was all cattywampus. So this is really, really awesome. So we used, again, it's the Creative Grid Cabin Trim Tool. And we have that here in the shop at Be So Creative. This particular tool makes the traditional log cabin square. It makes the half log cabin. And it makes the courthouse steps. We also use this tool to make this variation of the log cabin. The 2.5 inch square is made up of 3 strips. Okay, once we had our squares made using the traditional log cabin, we made this table runner. And like I said, the seams just matched perfectly. I was shocked. It was so easy and so fast to do. The next thing we did, using a pattern we have here at the shop, was make this.
Why don't you hold that up just a little bit? Isn't that gorgeous?
Again, we use the trim tool to make the background, and we use the wool tweed cotton that we have here at the shop, which is awesome. It's a great fabric to work with. This is the pattern that we used. It's called Autumn Nights. So we used the trim tool to make the background and then the applique. And then there's another pattern from the same company that's called Winter Nights.
Got a snowman on it.
Yes, he's so cute. Okay, I will make one suggestion when you're using this trim tool. If you are doing a large piece, like a throw or a quilt, I would definitely mark whichever square I'm using with either quilter's tape or painter's tape so that you know which one you're focusing on. I found that I had trouble keeping which one I was working on straight in my head, and I was just doing small pieces, but definitely for a large piece I would use the tape to mark the particular square I was using, which round I was on. So if you were standing in front of me, I'd ask if there are any questions, but
Well, we have comments. I love the courthouse steps. Wow, I love that. Beautiful.
awesome.
But I don't see any questions.
It was a great tool, and I highly recommend it. You all have a great afternoon and stay safe.